Hello and welcome for DHL for SMEs. And today we had Zeina, and you're from Vodafone.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Vodafone. Tell us a bit about yourself and tell us what we do.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to actually be cooperating on this program. So my name is Zeina Abu-Issa, and I manage the enterprise products and marketing for Vodafone. I've been at the company about 4 years in this function, but 10 years altogether. And I think our role essentially has been to contribute to the growth of the market. And I'm very proud to be part of that team and that function as we see the growth and the diverse type of companies setting up in Qatar. It allows us to even enable diverse types of solutions in our industry from a telco and non-telco perspective.
I try to empathize with all of our guests, and I'm empathizing already. You've been the backbone of how the country's developed. You've been that thing that with the technology side of things, the way that you're going forward is helping the country grow. It must be very proud for you.
It is very private, and it's very, it's overwhelming as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a responsibility. At the end, there are elements that we have to follow. There are insights that we have to watch out for. A lot of work that we do relies on research, relies on need of the market, but also on trends. How do we set the trend? How do we bring best practices? How do we develop those best practices and bring them to life? Is actually a lot of pressure, but also in an exciting way.
And over the years, I've been lucky enough to have this has been my home for the last 16 years. But it couldn't be easy to be able to develop this way, as you said, putting the infrastructure in place. I know you've got Ordu, but you're there, you're at the front with the fiber optics, and I see it all the time in the way that you're leading from this.
Yeah, it's we're fortunate that I think Vodafone, when they first initiated their first kind of cell, infrastructure back in 2009. It kind of created a vibe in the market. It created competition. It created the need for different options. So it's always good to have multiple options to cater for end users and customers. When it comes to enterprise specifically, I believe the need has evolved really fast, not just from 15 years ago, but at least in the past 5-6 years with, the pandemic and all that. It kind of pushed the entire country to adopt new ways of running their businesses, how they operate, how they generate revenue. And honestly, taking part in that is also a huge milestone for any company. But for us, it was the driving force to how we've evolved really fast.
I can see that this means so much to you, right? What are those highlights that you've seen just recently in what you're working on right now?
Well, it's going to be unfair to try to list them all because there's quite a lot. But goes without saying, mobility and fixed services with fiber, that is our pride and joy. It's our bread and butter, our core. Spreading this out in the entire country, going to remote locations, going to new properties, all of that for us is a huge milestone. But then what to make it better and more kind of impactful was adding the layer of managed services, ICT services, cloud services, security, and then you add to it IoT, the Internet of Things, being the latest kind of go-to solution for a lot of the companies in terms of tracking their machines and initiating dashboards and reports to give them more insights to help them generate more revenue. At the end of the day, all of the businesses, what are they in for? They're in to grow and to get more customers and to sell their products. And if you can give them tools to do that, it is how it's supposed to be.
I know back years ago, it must have been 100 years ago, when we put the tube stations and the underground into London.
Imagine it here.
Okay, look at what's happening here. But this infrastructure you're putting in is going to lead that growth in business.
Yeah.
For decades to come.
Yeah. Speaking of the underground, actually, while it's probably not an SME per se, but we are actually the proud providers to give the Wi-Fi in the trains, so in the stations. And one of our proudest moments were when visitors came for the World Cup, and there were videos of, those influencers being on the lowest level underground and saying, guys, we have 5G, we have Vodafone's network, and it was mentioned, organically, unsolicited, and that, I think, made everybody proud in the company. So you can imagine from that all the way to catering to small offices and home offices, private businesses, diverse type of companies. For us, it's about quality as well, so we look after the smallest details to make sure that from end to end, our services deliver to our promise in general.
And what a perfect way of putting it. It's just that you're giving people that ability to grow out for decades to come. That's what I like about what you're doing. It's incredible. And you're giving the best as well, because you're thinking about the future. And the way that technology, it must be so difficult because technology is changing so much, but you're keeping up and you're put things in place. We try. You definitely are. What I know anyway, I think it's fantastic what you do. How important is it? We're here for today for DHL, for SMEs. How important is it to get involved in those? You're one of our partners, which is fantastic, boy. What is it like for you to be a part of this initiative?
To be honest, the moment this program came to us, it was a no-brainer. The title speaks for itself. DHL being a renowned company for what it does, a subject matter expert in its own industry, built such a big affinity with the market in general that it was a no-brainer to partner with them. And to add to it, that it's a program for SMEs was within our kind of priorities and strategies anyway. It is important for us to contribute to SMEs in many aspects. And I think we should always remember, and we were talking earlier, that how did the economy start in Qatar, right? Yeah. So in trading and in those small businesses or family businesses, they got into different industries so that they can build the country. Obviously, with the support from the government, otherwise nothing would have happened. But in a way, everybody has a common goal, and the goal is to grow and to develop. What we've also kind of understood over the years, essentially, is that not everything that works in another country could work here. And the beauty of our establishments having strong teams, strong partners, and partnering with other companies allows us to use some of the best practices and molding them or enabling them to be more accepted in Qatar as such. And therefore, I mean, for us, SMEs is a given. Like, if you don't want to cater to SMEs, you probably have to find a different goal, because this is it in Qatar.
And I think the way that all the partners have come together and with this the subject matter experts, right, is that there's a lot of companies out there that sometimes are overlooked, right? Yeah. And there's some great companies that have got their cash flows in order, they've got different things in order, but there's some pieces to the jigsaw that they may be missing.
Yeah.
And this is where I see the partners that we got come in and look up and say, that show the way.
Absolutely.
Just by what you were just talking about just there, I feel thrilled that you've just said, this is what we do, and this is the way that we help different businesses.
Absolutely. And I think to your point, sometimes when you're focused on your own business, say, for example, you're selling goods, or you're in automotive or in any other industry, it's very easy to focus on it so much that you might miss on ways to improve in the more logical ways. And this is where companies like us come in. We would love nothing but to help those businesses understand what does technology mean to them. They might be using it, maybe not understanding all its features, or they might not realize that there's a solution out there that can just make them turn around their SLAs in no time, and going from 3 days to 30 seconds. And with the introduction of cloud, and then IoT, and now AI, the sky is our limit. And
yeah,
it's fascinating how many customers we could sell normal products to them, and we get the best products we can, and we deliver it to them to the best of our ability, and we follow, global standards and everything. But I think through this program, everyone's going to benefit from understanding them better. And this is also a strength that we have, is how do we cater to them on a more customized level? Even if they're smaller businesses, there are plenty of them. And you can't get that unless you do it through initiatives like this. You can't listen to them almost one-on-one and even consult for them. So we have a lot of subject matter experts that can spend time with such companies, with partners, collaboratively providing the right information and showing them different ways they can use it, different ways they can adopt it, maybe short-term, maybe long-term, but it's to their benefit. We have nothing to gain or lose but to share knowledge at this point.
And understanding those technologies, how they can adopt it into their businesses to be better, more efficient, more better for their staff, expand. These are all the elements that you can bring. And you're in, I don't know how many countries around the world.
Yes, but we're in more than 7 countries, something like that. Yes.
Wow.
So it's an access to knowledge that we're very proud of. And I'm proud to say that sometimes we get asked to share some of what we've done here for other markets. Because, again, Qatar has a very, very interesting dynamic when it comes to market and economy and the landscape of the way the businesses are either growing or even popping up. Right? So it's a very interesting dynamic, and it has its own challenges, but in a nice way. Like, you can actually create case studies out of it, even though the market is very small. So we are also proud to actually be a reference in some cases.
I've been lucky enough to meet quite a few people from Vodafone, right? And I like it when we were talking and you said, I've got a responsibility.
Yes.
And this is what I think about for your team, is that you've got a responsibility to try to make sure that we got this country, individuals grow. And I think that's what I like about DHL, to be honest, because they're a family. And it looks like that you're in just one big family here.
I mean, we'd like to think so. Right. If the only way you can, and I'm going to say this in a strong way, the only way you can exploit talents, whether it's in the investment or in the assets or the resources, only way you can exploit that is if you make everybody part of, the ideation or the delivery or the customer experience, operationally, the back end. All of them are essential parts to the success. So if each one of us feels valuable and can contribute to that, that's a definition of family. Like, you kind of come together, whether it's on a project or, overall company growth.
Yeah, so come and join the family, okay? Come and join up. It really is. It's very special for me when I look up here and I see all the different types of names that we've got here and people that's helping with it, when people wanted to get involved in it. It's pretty special. And to see people like yourselves in Vodafone participating, it really is something special. And it just takes me back to where we are right now. And it just is getting stronger and stronger.
In our organization, the marketing functions generally are also commercial. So the business hat with creativity, when they come together, it's a very interesting dynamic. It's a very interesting, contradicting as well, dynamic, because if you think of the classic marketeers, they always want to, create something new and they get excited about ideas. Then you come in with the numbers and it becomes a struggle.
Yep.
And we are always passionate about our projects. We're always passionate about making our customers feel that they didn't just buy a service from an operator. We want them to think of us as their partner. We want to think of them as their consultant, if I may, for ICT. And no matter how big of a company you have or small, we have what you need in a way. And even if we don't have it, we can go all in and try to do it for you. So that comes from passion. We can't deliver on that and be as proactive if we were not passionate about what we do.
Where do you see things now from after all of this and we're putting stuff with the SMEs? there are so much that those SMEs are going to know from what we do. With your side, where could these SMEs look at ways that they can help you and support you and become clients of yours? Or
Yeah, and it's a very valid question. And
For us being a customer-obsessed brand, one of the key factors that we like to dig into are their insights. So having them be as honest, brutally honest about anything they feel towards technology and towards ICT in general, whether they're scared of it, whether they find it, not relevant or too soon to take some or anything. We need that insight. This is how they can add value to us. We feel like for us to help them, they need to tell us what they need. We can do all research. We have, best agencies that run research for us very often. And we actually do extract a lot of very interesting insights. But hearing it raw during the event or having them reach out will be the most valuable we can ever, appreciate getting, because I think they will, with the event setting, it allows people to have that conversation without the parameters of a formal meeting where you're meeting, a manager of a company, and then the sales and products come in and a pitch. You don't want that, right? So during the event, it's more about a conversation. We all know what we want, and we all want the same thing. It's about their growth and how we can contribute as partners. But then for them to grow, they need to tell us, what their pain points are or what their needs are, as honestly as possible.
Zeina, on behalf of Vodafone, and with me on behalf of DHL for SMEs, DHL and all our partners, it's magnificent to have you on board.
Thank you.
And you
Thank
are
you.
somebody special.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for
much.
being part of this.
Thank you. It's our pleasure. Thank you for having us here.